So, since DeepSeek 3 came out, I've come to realize that I'm reaching for it more and more. I did not really plan on this, I didn't really force myself. It was merely the most useful option. Theoretically, O1 is the best. But it is so prohibitively expensive that unless you don't care about that, I guess it doesn't really matter. It is irrelevant. And when it comes to common options, you kind of have access to either GPT-4 or Claude. Yet, you would be paying like $10 at least to have access to it. Yet, when it comes to price, I would say the best option right now, I'm not sure you care about this, but yeah, it does help. Still, this would be a recommendation, VS Code Copilot free version, because it gives you access to just using Claude. Although you get some limitation, but I've come to realize that I didn't even use up the limitation. Even the 50 per month. And you can combine it with the Klein DeepSeek, right? The Klein extension. And DeepSeek is so cheap that you are almost certainly gonna spend less than $10 a month. When it comes to the chat version, I still would have to give it, gotta keep in mind that Claude is also limited. So you can only use it a few times, but DeepSeek has a deep think option and a search option. Extremely useful, and you can just use it as many times as you like. Also, it's pretty fast too, so when it comes to chat, I actually prefer DeepSeek's chat. Yeah, what about the code, right? Because it would be completely pointless to try to save $10 and end up with worse code. Yeah, DeepSeek also kind of has a better code, and Claude kind of has a few problems, and I'm not gonna say that Claude is bad. I think they are like kind of about in the same tier, as we could tell from the benchmark, but DeepSeek kind of has a better style. It tends to be more specific. Claude, many times in the past, and it tends to do this a lot, it just tends to rewrite things and add things that don't need to be added. I lost count how many times Claude just made like over 500 plus line changes, and it's just a mess. It really pissed me off. But I was kind of like abandoning any hope. But it also really got itself into trouble. So it was not really just annoying and possibly introduced mistakes. And you had to like commit 10 functions at the same time, and you made so many changes. But Claude may have wrote bad code and then tried to use that bad code, because instead of going one step at a time, Claude just tried to write like multiple pages at the same time, and again, make like 500 plus line changes. DeepSeek tends to be more specific, which I very much enjoy. You can try to tell it to, I guess, do a lot, but I wouldn't. Also kind of have a better user experience, assuming you care about speed, which I do care about. This is also faster. I'm not sure if we can count it against Claude, but I sure will. I would say Klein is better than what GitHub Copilot has going on. So that's a problem, because just trying to pay for Claude is going to be far more expensive than trying to pay for DeepSeek. So if you just slap in your Claude key, that's going to be expensive. So if you use Claude, presumably you're going to be using it with many of the, I guess, AI editors, but most likely, assuming you want the best deal technically for your buck, then I guess you're gonna go with GitHub Copilot. Although keep in mind that, I mean, you can do that in a limited extent, and I did, and it's okay. So yeah, I'm gonna count this too. So I'm gonna go with like Klein here, because like, yeah, you would not use a Claude key with Klein, you would not use O1 with Klein, I guess. You certainly can. I mean, depending on how much you care about possible cost, but it's certainly something that counts against those options. Yet I'm not claiming that Claude is pointless. It is a good backup. So supposing that you are trying to solve it with DeepSeek, then Claude may have been trained on that type of code, or maybe have a completely different approach. So it certainly would be worth trying, assuming you're kind of getting stuck. So Claude is a good backup, and O1 is, if you really just don't know, I guess. You can try that. With how DeepSeek is positioned right now, it really doesn't make too much sense to give any thought to the AI code editors or even any subscriptions? So suppose VS Code wanted to be competitive, then what would make the most sense? And even then, it would be like a question because Klein is a superior software, but you would need to make AI essentially free. So if you could just unlimited use Claude and DeepSeek and well, I guess maybe not OVAM, but at least those two with VS Code, then it would be more of a value proposition. And while I do recommend the VS Code Copilot free version, it's just really not worth paying for. Sure, you can argue that, yeah, $10 doesn't matter that much, but you wouldn't want to be paying $10 to use something worse and not even use it. And if we look beyond coding, I suppose, and especially when it comes to value, if you're just choosing an API, I would argue, in most cases, you should be looking at DeepSeek Free or Gemini Flash. Gemini Flash for total grunt work, it needs to be done for the cheapest possible, and DeepSeek Free would be the value option. The brains for a good price. And to be clear, I do like Claude. I just find DeepSeek more useful most of the time. I guess ultimately the best option might be is the one that was actually trained on what you want to do. Because you might see the general scores and like, that is good, but then you want to do a certain thing and you realize that, you know, one AI was actually somewhat trained on it and the other was not at all. So yeah. So you might need to shop around depending on the project. So that's it. Climb with DeepSeek, along with Copilot free version, is probably the best option out there right now. And how is it priced? Even trying to spend like $1 a month with it is gonna be a challenge.